Hi, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Haylie, and you're back with the Lesbian Book Club podcast.
Where are the quiet gays supposed to go?
I have a surprise for you.
Okay, I'm very excited.
Wait there.
Okay, I won't go anywhere. She's being sneaky, guys. Oh my God, puppy. Oh my God, how many puppies are there? Is there two?
Two.
Who had puppies?
My work. And
Oh my God, they're so cute.
they were supposed to get fixed this morning.
Oh my God.
But
Look,
this little guy is the runt, and he did not make weight.
Oh.
And this big guy is so shy. And so I took them home.
What?
Yes.
What kind of dogs are they?
Chihuahuas.
Okay, that's what I thought, but they look kind of big.
Well, this one is really big.
Okay.
We don't really know why, but this one is really small.
Yeah, I know, small, you baby.
This is Jake from State Farm. And this is Limu Emu.
Emu. Oh my God, that's so old. They're so. I need to cuddle a dog right now.
Hi,
Oh, you puppy. Oh, that guy is small. Jake is so
Mhm.
small.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get this big guy to come out of his shell, and I'm just obsessed with Jake, so I took them. And we're having a Chihuahua sleepover.
Oh my God. You're hilarious. I love this for you. She is beaming.
It's so awesome.
Oh,
They're really quiet. They don't do anything. They just
they just exist.
snuggle. Yeah.
They're so cute, Haley. Oh my God, they just gonna sit on your lap the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they got a bath, so they smell good. Except for when they smell like poop.
Are they pooping like on a little pee pad or whatever?
Yeah. They
Oh.
are pretty good about it. Yep. They will soon be up for adoption at Annenberg Pet Space. People come adopt, but I might get to Jake before y'all. So.
Yeah, I feel like that might happen.
Yeah.
How long
well,
has it been since we've been here last?
it's been maybe 9 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6-9 months, something like that.
Yeah. We're making a comeback.
Yeah. We're gonna do a little break, and then we did not come back.
Yeah. It got crazy over here. We had 2 people going back to school and getting more educated.
Yes, so we can talk to you even more educatedly.
Yeah, because we're really talking about things related. Well, I guess my new little thing is related. So that's fun.
You want to
Yeah. I went to school recently for editing and publishing. And so I'm going to hopefully be developmentally editing books. And I think it's so fun. So all of my authors out there, if you're looking for a new developmental editor, I can also copy edit, but I prefer the story of it. So if you need a developmental editor, you know where to find me. I'm right here.
Love that. Honestly, we have a lot of authors that contact us still. So
Yeah.
that's, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. And I want to hear more about your story because you were telling me about it at our little wine night.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I gave you like a really good idea, and I don't know if you went with
Yeah, you did. I'm still on chapter 3, so we're not there yet. But yeah, I'm writing a book, guys.
and we're going to read it when it gets published.
Yes.
Yes, and then I am now in my second term for nursing school. So I am in the depths of microbiology, and I start my clinicals on Wednesday.
Where?
At a SNF, at a skilled nursing facility. So it's like old people.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I love old people, so it's good for me.
Yeah, it's up your alley. You know them.
I do know them, and they know me. They think they do. They always think I'm like their daughter or their wife or something. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Can I take a bath now?
Oh, yeah, that's really, really cool. And you're learning a lot. And I'm proud of you too.
so much.
So cool.
We're just both proud of each other.
Yeah.
So we read Atmosphere, and I have been like clamoring Haylie to read it for the past 9 months. I read it like right after we took a break because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. She wrote Hugo, and I love her writing. I think it's a beautiful story, and Atmosphere is amazing. It's such a gorgeous story. And I love how it kind of like weaves in real life things like Sally Ride, which I don't know if you saw.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime is going to be doing a Sally Ride movie, and Kristen Stewart's going to be starring in it. So we are absolutely going to have to cover that.
Yeah, which, oh my gosh, I feel like Kristen Stewart really could have been a good Vanessa.
Yeah. Okay, we need to talk about this because we have a lot to talk about. Because I'm like, I feel like, because I had somebody also that read it. So you read it, and then I had somebody I know read it, and we were talking about it. And like, I feel like we had very different ideas of Joan and Vanessa. So, like, who was more like, yeah, it was really interesting. So I'm excited to hear what you think about this.
I have seen some fan casts that have cast both of them as like Margot Robbie type people, and I don't see that.
And I thought of Joan, so I was thinking of Joan as kind of a, not masculine, but more masculine than Vanessa. I thought of
Really?
Yeah, see? Okay, and see, my other person did not agree with me either. Like, yes, I know Vanessa was like more out, but Joan's energy to me did not feel super feminine. It felt quiet. It felt like insular. And I guess I associate that more with, I associate feminine with like bubbly and outgoing, which I feel like Vanessa more was.
I have a real life comparison of a couple we know of how I'm thinking of this.
Who?
But I obviously can't just blast them on here.
We'll bleep it out.
Remind me of the vibes of these two.
I can see that. Okay, so overall impression of the book, what do you think?
Oh my God, it was so good. And I keep wishing that I was still reading it, that it wasn't over. And then you want to know what's really crazy?
Tell me.
You know the show, oh my God, I can't think of what it's called all of a sudden. I worked on this show.
Oh my God, Haylie, you're so funny.
It has Caitlin Olsen in it, and it's like today's Sherlock Holmes. If Sherlock was a woman. She was a janitor, and then she works as a consultant for the police force. Oh my God, I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, that show, I was watching it.
High Potential?
Yes, High Potential.
I Googled it.
Okay, High Potential.
Okay.
And I have to wait each week for the newest episode to come out. And the newest episode came out like 30 minutes after I finished this book. And it was about the murder of an astronaut. And they were talking about all of this astronaut stuff and about the space shuttles. And and they mentioned Sally Ride. And I was like, woo! I'm not even leaving the universe. I'm still in space.
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook, which was beautifully read. And both times that I read this book, in the last like 20, 30 minutes of the audiobook, and if you've read the book, you know what we're talking about. But both times I texted Haylie being like, I am sobbing. I am just wrecked. I am in tears. Like, I need, I need you to read this book so that you can cry with me. Did you cry?
I was sobbing.
Yeah.
You know, I was sitting there on the couch reading, and all of a sudden I just burst into tears. And my girlfriend was like, are you okay?
I was driving to school at 6:30 in the morning, and I was I was on the freeway, and I knew it was coming, and I had listened to this book before, and I was just tears. Like, I'm like thinking about it now, and I'm like tearing up. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love the way Taylor Jenkins Reid always connects like everything at the end, like talking about the song, and just, oh my God, it killed me. But let's like get into it because I'm excited to talk about it I'm excited to see what parts resonated with you and what you overall thought about these characters.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite character?
I mean, I feel like you and I normally identify with like the main character, but except in Evelyn and Hugo, and except in this book, because Vanessa, to me, I felt more like personally, I was like, I don't know. There's some quotes that I have and everything pulled out that we can read and whatnot. But yeah, I felt like for some reason Vanessa was more my favorite character. I love Frances.
Yeah.
I was like, because Frances actually really reminds me of my youngest daughter in a lot of ways. And like just like personality and character. And so when I was reading this, like, I fucking hate Barbara.
Yeah.
But I do understand Barbara. Like, so not everyone is supposed to be a mom. Not everyone is supposed to like have, not everybody needs to have that maternal instinct. But if you do have a kid, like, then now I don't like you, Barbara. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still understand her.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Yeah. I was very attracted to Vanessa. I thought that she was like she was so well written to be so romantic.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also, what you're saying about identifying with both her and Joan.
Yeah.
You are onto something here, because I always think about, if I were in this movie, who would I play?
Right.
And oftentimes when there's kind of a femme main character, that's who it is.
Yeah.
But I feel on the fence. I could go either way with Joan or Vanessa.
And that's what I'm saying is I thought they both had similar energies.
I feel like Vanessa is more... I also don't know how to describe this without using real people. I know. She's very straightforward. She's interpersonally fearless.
Yes. Yeah.
Joan is fearless in her outward life.
Yes.
In my perception of her. Whereas Vanessa, it's like they have opposite places where they have, like, their weaknesses and their strengths are very different from each other, and they fill that in for each other very well. But like with Joan, she is able to just go for whatever she wants, and that doesn't really faze her. Like, she's okay with the uncomfortability of all of that. And it's when she gets into these places, these intimate places with other people, that she starts to feel a little bit uncomfortable and out of her realm of normal. And Vanessa is kind of the other way around.
See, well, okay. So something you said makes a lot of sense to me with Joan, because I don't think Joan has good cue reading. Right? Joan isn't good at reading the room or reading cues, social cues. There are social cues. And I think that's because Joan doesn't know herself. And I think you see her get better about that throughout the book. But yeah, Vanessa is very good at people. Like, very good at talking to people. Whatever room she walks into, she can hold a conversation. And I think that's why I identify more with Vanessa, because I have people, like, I like to have people skills. I like to be around people. I can talk to anybody, right? But I don't know if I think that they have opposite ones, because, I mean, Vanessa's an astronaut too. Like, she definitely knows,
right.
You know, right. So I think it's just Vanessa's more comfortable in who she is.
Yeah. Okay. What's also really interesting to me is how different they are in how they interact with Lydia, how they perceive Lydia.
Yeah, Lydia is quite a character. And we have to remember that this book took place in the 1980s, early 1980s, right? And they are, when I say they, the women that are in the astronaut training and whatnot are just the second group of women that have been let in. And Lydia is this character who is very polarizing amongst the women themselves, specifically Joan and Vanessa. It's very, yeah, she was an interesting character. I actually liked Lydia more the second time I read it.
I really liked Lydia because, first of all, I thought she was hilarious. Like the things she cares about. And then also the way that she can go from being sincere and vulnerable in one moment to just snapping out of it and just cutting you to your core. No one taught you how to load a dishwasher. She is so... She says things I would never, ever say.
So direct and abrupt. Also, not good with the social cues, which if you think about these people, they are brainy. They are astrophysicists. They are pilots. Like, they spend more time in books than maybe with people, right? Mm-hmm. So it makes a lot of sense. And then is Lydia also the one who's laughing at all these gross jokes?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I don't know why I'm asking. Like, I know that. Because another astronaut named Donna, right? So there's 4 female astronauts that are talked about in this book. And then there's a couple male astronauts who I also love that we have to talk about, especially Griff and Hank.
Vanessa did not like Lydia. She felt like Lydia was a suck-up, would throw any of them under the bus to get ahead, which was true. Until the very end, when all of a sudden she figured out how to be a team player. And Vanessa just felt very uneasy about Lydia. Joan was able to spend a little more time around Lydia and kind of give her a real chance and see her a little bit deeper and understand her more than anybody else was able to.
And I absolutely agree. I think that comes from the role that Joan played with her sister, right?
Yeah.
Like, Barbara and Lydia, to me, were kind of bookends, where Barbara is Joan's sister who has Joan's Francis, and Joan is the older sister, Barbara's the younger sister, and very much has that younger sister mentality. But Lydia, Joan was able to spend more time with her, like you said, and get to know her. And this is also another reason why I identify with Vanessa, because I had the same reaction to Lydia that Vanessa was having. Like, why are you laughing at these sexist jokes? Like, you are setting us back. Why are you allowing this to happen and like giving it credence, right? But I actually really liked and appreciated Lydia's responses. Is they don't want women as astronauts. They just want women that do it like the men. Right. Mm-hmm. And we're the second class to do it. So we can't make those waves yet. We just need to prove that we are men. Right. And I understand that mentality. Right. Where that's what I'm saying on the second time around, I was understanding Lydia more. And like, I'm not going to fault her for that mentality. But again, that's the reason why I identify more with Vanessa. I'm just like, girl, stop laughing at them. It is not funny. They're making fun of women. Like, it's not funny, right? And Joan has we say that Vanessa has really good interpersonal skills, but Joan was actually the one that was able to get to understand Lydia,
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Lydia ends up saving the day at the end. That's very interesting that it's Vanessa and Lydia that have to basically sacrifice for each other at the end. Because those are going to be the last 2, you would think. Like, considering the fact that of what Vanessa ended up doing for Lydia at the end, I think Joan had a big part in humanizing Lydia to Vanessa.
Yeah. I don't know if Vanessa would have made the same choice had Joan not had all of these conversations about Lydia with Vanessa.
Right. Yeah. Me too. I absolutely agree. Okay, let's jump back though to the beginning of the book now. Now that we talked about a couple of the key players. So the book opens up with the astronauts on the spaceship. They are in space. There's 2 women. There's Vanessa and there's Lydia. And then there are 3 male astronauts, which would be Griff, Hank, and Steve, right?
Yeah.
And we learn, and this is so cool how this book opens up because it jumps time, right? It jumps around in time. And so we open up at the present time of this astronaut voyage, right? And we throughout the book, we learn about the key players that are on this ship. So then when it comes to the end, and obviously they have a crisis in space, right? And it comes to the end, and at the beginning of the book, you didn't know anything about these characters. And at the end of the book, when this crisis is unfolding throughout, you now are very emotionally connected to these characters, right? So I loved the way the book did that. So, and then also we have Joan, who is in the control center in Houston, right? So she is actually, there's one person that gets to talk to the astronauts, and that's Capcom, right? So that is the role that Joan is playing. Joan is the one that is going to be communicating with the astronauts on the ship. Yeah. And then so there's a whole crisis happening on the ship, but then we go back into time and we learn about Joan. We learn mostly about Joan because Joan is our main. You tell me, Miss Editor, is it protagonist or antagonist?
Protagonist.
There we go. So yes, she is the main protagonist of this story. Vanessa ends up being her love interest, and their relationship is super beautiful. Yeah,
they are so.
I know, they're so sweet. And I love how patient Vanessa is. Again, every time I say something about Vanessa, I'm like, that is like, I feel like I'm very patient. But Vanessa's patience with Joan, I found to be really beautiful. Because she let Joan figure out that Joan was a lesbian without being like, girl, are you crazy? Like, I know you like.
Yeah, she waited her out and was like, do you know you? I think I know you. And then finally, when she saw the picture that Joan drew of the stripper that looked like her, she was like, oh, Joan, I know exactly who you are.
Yep.
And then she still waited for her to make that decision on her own that, oh, that is who I am, and I want to act on it with you.
Right.
And she never brought up herself or pushed it. She was just,
Because I think the baseline for their relationship was their friendship, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of a slow burn type situation. The stripper part was very funny because when Joan found out that Vanessa saw the picture, she was kind of like, who is this stripper? Like, I love it. And Vanessa's like, yeah, you picked out the only stripper that looked like me. And I was like, that was funny. Like, Joan was feeling like shame and guilt because it kind of wasn't Vanessa. And Vanessa was like, no, I know you like that one because she looks like me. Like, okay. I thought that was really, really cute. I think this book covers about 7 years, if I remember correctly. It starts in late 1970s and goes to 1984. Start learning about Joan, and she's a teacher out of college. She's like an astrophysicist, crazy smart. She's always wanted to be an astronaut. She's always connected more very externally than I think she does internally, which is I think where Vanessa and her are different. Joan actually applied to be part of Sally Ride's cohort, which was the first wave of female astronauts, and didn't get picked. And so then she came back to be the second cohort of astronauts that had women in it. And, something that's really interesting is, so you have pilots and you have the brains, right? You need people to fly the shuttle and you need people to do experiments and things in space. And something that was really interesting that really upset Vanessa, who's also obviously in the second cohort, was she was a commercial pilot. She was not a military pilot. And the shitty part about that was they weren't going to allow people to fly the shuttle that were not military pilots. However, the military did not allow female pilots. So she was kind of like stuck of, I want to fly the shuttle, but I'm not allowed. But I wasn't allowed because I can't have the right credentials because women were shut out of getting those credentials. So that's kind of an underlying frustration that I think we see with Vanessa, like throughout the book, because I do think Vanessa has like a slight edge to her. Not like a chip on her shoulder. Right? I wouldn't say that, but I mean, you could obviously see why she has a bit of frustration.
Yeah, like she can't achieve her dream for something that's no fault of her own.
Yes. It's like she has an opportunity. And while she has this great opportunity to be an astronaut now, it's not what she wants, what role, what capacity she wants.
Yeah. Which, interestingly, is also the same thing that happened to Black pilots. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were only allowed to work on the planes and not fly them. And so, even though we don't see that story here in this book, that's not what this book was about. That would have applied to them as well, I'm sure. Yeah. Shitty.
Yes. And then you have Hank, who is like a 10-year veteran astronaut. He's a pilot. He takes Vanessa very much under his wing, and like teaches her how to fly kind of under the radar and lets her fly like the planes and things that they practice on. So Hank is great. Hank ends up marrying Donna, which is one of the female astronauts. And yeah, Hank just seems like an all around solid guy. Like he always goes to bat for Vanessa, and he always like supports her. And then on the flip side of that, we have Griff, who is a new astronaut, and this is like Joan's bestie. And he is just a sweetheart. Like, I love Griff. He's kind of reminding me of Harry Cameron, like character-wise, except that he was not gay, and he did have a thing for Joan. And Joan kind of did the thing where I was like, let me see him. Like, she has an inkling that she's a lesbian. And she's like, well, let me just try and kiss this man one more time and see if it's actually, maybe I can go the easy route, And it didn't work.
I felt so bad for him.
I felt so bad for him too, because he was like, I want to kiss you, but you're drunk. And Joan is just like pulling on movie references really to like be like, this is what I'm supposed to do if I pull him in, la la la, right? And yeah, she did not enjoy that. And I thought Griff's reaction was so kind, and it also like kept his boundaries, but also like didn't take away from their friendship. He was like, I just need a little bit of time. Like, please, like, I know we're best friends, but we did cross this line, and now I need a little bit. Yeah. And then everything was back. And he kind of knew, right? Griff knew. Donna ends up knowing about Joan and Vanessa as we go through the story. But I have a quote pertaining to these male astronauts, and it's, of course, men were uninteresting to her. They were fundamentally uninteresting. We are interesting. Yeah. And to be honest, like, as a lesbian, that is like exactly summed up how I feel about men. I'm just like, I don't hate you. I do not like you. I think you guys are nice, but I don't find you interesting. Like, I don't want to have a conversation with you that's going to go past like pleasantries, because you don't really have anything to say that interests me.
What is so really spot on about this quote, and I wonder if Taylor Jenkins Reid did this on purpose, is that I had a very hard time differentiating the male astronauts and remembering their names and remembering who was who and who did what. And I did not at all have that problem with the women. They were all very remarkably distinct and brilliant, and the men were just like kind of a glob of dudes. Except for Griff, who but also who was just kind of nice guy.
But yeah, I only could differentiate them the second time through the book. The first time I had no idea. Antonio has a plot point in this, and that comes when he has to kind of tell Joan that he knows about her and Vanessa in a very covert way, and is like, make sure this doesn't affect anything. Like, you guys kind of need to stop, or we're going to have to like take your security clearance away. And they're both it's right before Vanessa goes up
Mhm.
for the shuttle that we are following throughout this book and what's happening, right? And it's actually very tragic because Joan does like an Evelyn situation here, where Joan tries to like break up with Vanessa to like quote unquote protect her. And Vanessa is like having none of it. Very heartbreaking. It's almost like one of the arguments between Evelyn and Celia that really makes you upset was happening between like Joan and Vanessa. And again, same writer, obviously, but it was just, they had such a love for each other. Like one of the quotes that was one of my favorite was like, Joan said, "My God, who could care about the stars when there was her to look at?"
Mhm.
And for Joan to say that, who has basically lived her life in the stars, learning about stars, being just enamored with the sky, and now has finally realized like, oh, I don't even care about that because looking at her is like looking at the universe. And to me, I was just like, I love lesbians. Like the way I feel like, it's really interesting. Some people are like, shouldn't straight men and lesbians like agree on a lot of things? Because both their objects of value are women. And to me, I'm like, absolutely. Like the way I think women who love women view women is very different. And you can talk about patriarchal structures and, societal structures that make this different. But, to hear it's such a soft thing to say, like, who could care about the stars when there was her to look at?
Yeah.
Like, it's so beautiful and like captures like what beauty Joan saw in Vanessa.
Yeah.
I love that book.
It was really beautiful. Also that Vanessa's willing to give up everything to still be with Joan. Like the one thing that she cared about more than Joan before was being able to fly.
Yeah.
And that priority changes for her, and she's willing to give it all up for Joan as long as she can just stay with her. And the way that Vanessa also says to Joan, it's something along the lines of, please just let me live in my delusion for a day that you're perfect. Like, in my eyes, you're so perfect. You're the most wonderful person alive. And don't ruin that for me. Don't break this.
Stop fighting. Yeah, stop fighting against me when I'm telling you how great you are. Like, because that's how I see you. Yeah, and I do want to kind of follow that thread of Vanessa's changing priorities, because in the front end of the book, Vanessa talks about how she always has this dream that she's never going to like make it past 30, or she's never going to make it past 40, or, she doesn't really give a number, but she's like, I always see my future. And, then there's another part in the book where they go to Barbara's wedding, and Joan has to fight to take Vanessa because of, why would you take a friend to your wedding, right? That's kind of what's going with. And, Joan is like, maybe we could have everything. Maybe we could have this. And Vanessa's kind of like knocks her back, like, we can't, right? And then at the end, right before Vanessa, and this, I felt like this was a really shitty thing for Joan to do. I do know like her intention was trying to protect Vanessa, but like it was literally like a day or two before she was going into space that she's trying to break up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do not go through a lesbian breakup 2 days before you go into space. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you have to be kidding me.
Oh my God, you're isolated in the middle of space of all places, and you're going through it.
Sensory deprivation to the max, and the only thing I can think about is I just got dumped by my secret girlfriend who I'm obsessed with. Anyway, I think at this point they've been together for 3 years, right when Joan was breaking up with her. And that's what you were saying, Vanessa, was like, I don't care. I will give up the shuttle. I will give up my security clearance. I will give up flying. Like, I just want to be with you or whatever. And Joan, to her credit, I think didn't let Vanessa do it, right? She's like, no, like, I'll still be here, but this is your thing. Almost like I could never forgive myself if I took that from you,
Yeah.
I did want to read this little quote because we were talking about the wedding. And this was kind of in the context of Barbara's wedding. It says, Joan wanted to tell both of them that they thought she didn't want to get married. But the truth was that she wanted exactly what Barbara had. She wanted what they had. She wanted what Donna and Hank had, and what every marriage in the whole godforsaken country had. The right to exist and to love and to be proud and happy. The right.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even, I can't even imagine being the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, all throughout time, and being like, what I want is the same as what everyone, but I'm not allowed to have it. And for Joan to even get there, like Joan had never had a boyfriend. Joan had never had any interest in marriage. Vanessa was under a very pessimistic, this never gonna happen to me, obviously. They're both there, and then they both come to a point of together forever, the two women that live together in a cottage at the end of the day, and maybe nobody else knows, but we know. Very Ann Lister and Anne from Gentleman Jack.
I still haven't watched that.
I'm glad you haven't, because do not watch it without me. I have so much to say. Yeah. And then, I do want to talk about the songs and everything in that little battle that they all had, because I think that comes very much into play at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, okay, I heard somebody, or I saw on TikTok somebody say that if marriage was good for women, they would take it away from us. And then someone else commented and said, I'm a lesbian, and they did try to take it away from me. And
I saw that exact one. I almost just brought that up because I saw that exact one. Yeah, marrying a woman is only beneficial.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's beneficial for a man to marry a woman, but it is beneficial for women to marry women. And we just want to make things not allowed for things that benefit. I saw that TikTok too. We're on the same part of TikTok.
Yeah.
Another theme that I really liked in this book was the theme of home. And this ties to the songs that I want to talk about, because they're all trying, the astronauts get together. They spend all their time together, studying, eating, sleeping, training. And they go off to the bar a lot. And they're all having this debate over what the best space song is. And listen, the only reason I know ground control to Major Tom is from the movie Troop Zero, which is a little girl, a Girl Scout movie with Viola Davis, Jim Gaffigan, and McKenna Grace. And she's a little weirdo girl who wants to go to space. Anyway, they performed that song. So when they used this song in this book, it was just but the idea of home. So they're all going oh, David Bowie. Vanessa's a big David Bowie fan, and Lydia is saying it's this other song, and Griff is saying it's another David Bowie song, whatever, right? And then Joan comes in, and I just love it. Joan comes in and is I really like the Elmo song about space. That's my favorite, right? Because she has a niece who she's kind of a second mom to, right? And it's about how you leave Earth and you just want to come home.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone thinks she's so silly for bringing this one up. But then there's a quote. I don't remember if it was Vanessa thinking in space or what it was, but it said, it's kind of that simple, isn't it? You get up here, and then for one reason or another, you realize you want to come home. I just want to come home. Right? Yeah. All these astronauts have been thinking, just want to get to space. I want to get to space. And then you're up there. And I think this was Joan, because Joan went up and all she did was puke the whole time. And that's why she decides that she wants to get on the ground and do captain, right? She just was at the end of the book, Vanessa and Joan are talking, and we think Vanessa's going to die. We'll get into that. She's your song was, Vanessa's Joan, your song was the right one, because it just, and I love that. I'm yeah, sometimes the most simple truths are the most basic that you learn as a kid, right? So I liked that. And I liked the idea that Vanessa wanted to come home because her home was Joe.
Yeah. Joan and Frances, like the way that she loves Frances is so special. So cute.
The way that was what made me burst into tears was, so let's kind of like, I'm going to dissect this really quick. So Vanessa, this is the tragedy that unfolds on the shuttle. Vanessa and Griff need to like release something like a satellite or something, right? If they leave the payload doors open, they will be able to watch it happen, right? Super cool. Big safety issue though, right? But they do it, right? I mean, once in a lifetime, you want to see it happen. But something malfunctions. There's something, I don't know, flies off in multiple parts. One hits the shuttle, something hits Griff, right? And, obviously the spacesuits, like, it will kill you if you're exposed to the atmosphere, right? And so Vanessa is saving Griff, but they're in another part of the shuttle. And then in the other part of the shuttle is Lydia Hankins. And there is a hole somewhere in the shuttle they have to find. So they're tearing everything off of the walls. They're trying to find this hole. The oxygen is desaturating. Like, it's a nightmare. And spoiler, the three men end up dying. Griff, Hank, and Steve all die. Lydia finds the hole in like the last second before she pretty much passes out. She hits the bed, which is like a life-threatening situation, right? And she only has a certain amount of time before we have to get back. Now, everyone on the ground is watching this happen. You have doctors there who are monitoring all of their vital signs, and they're seeing these three men die. They're seeing Lydia go unconscious. Vanessa is the only one who is fully okay because she was in the other area. They get the payload doors closed, but there's like bending and stuff, right? So Lydia has saved Vanessa by finding this hole at great cost to her own life. And Vanessa now has to land the shuttle within a very small amount of time because it's like orbiting where you got to land and everything. And in the meantime, Joan is watching basically her wife go through having deal with that she's going to die. Awesome. Right? So that's the situation we find ourselves in at the end of the book when we're talking about this. Yeah. The thing about Frances that killed me, which is the niece who Vanessa has gotten close to, right, is she says, tell Frances that I really tried. Tell Frances I really tried to get those doors locked. And to me, that's what made me just burst into tears because, yes, Vanessa was telling that to Frances, but she was really saying it to him because they can't say, like, I love you, my wife, like, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. So she uses a child who, of course, meant a lot to her. Like, don't get me wrong, it was to Frances, but the secondary meaning was, like, Joan, I tried. I really, really tried. I really tried to convert to you. Yeah. And then they go in and talk about the song. And Antonio is like, tell her what you need to tell her. Like, and everyone from NASA's there, right? Like, everyone, the highest ups. You have Donna, who's there now, who knows her husband is dead in that shuttle, right? Lydia is there. Everyone is there. And, Antonio obviously understands the gravity of the situation. He just says, tell her what you need to tell her. And they use the song. They use the song to tell each other how much they love each other. And I'm gonna read the lyric. It says, you know why I kept saying the best song was Space Oddity? Because of your favorite part? When he says, tell my wife I love her very much. And then he says, she knows. Yeah, that's it. That's the best part of the song. But do you think she knows? Do you really think that she knows? And then Joan says, she knows. She absolutely knows. And Vanessa says, okay, I can. Mm-hmm. And it's like, again, and if you both know, right? And Donna knows, and Antonio knows, and I'm sure there were other people there. And it's like, the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you love. It's just the love that's there, and everyone is watching it happen and unfold. And the fact that they still had to couch it, still had to talk in metaphor, and that, you know what I mean? It's just painful, but so beautiful that love can transcend language almost, where you can talk about one thing, but you have an understanding with the person that you love that you're talking about.
Yeah, but also like, oh, it's so screwed up that they can't just say I love you.
But they did say it. And that's why, to me, I love the writing, is because they did say it. My favorite part of the song, tell my wife I love her. Do you think she knows? Like, tell me that you know I love you, you know? And let me tell you, listening to this audiobook where you're literally hearing like professional people read with the emotion in their voice, I could not stop crying. And then you think that Vanessa's dead.
Yeah.
And they had to wait 10 minutes after the connection went down. I think I would have killed myself.
Oh my God. I would have been in shambles.
I would have peed my pants and I would have been crying on the floor.
Shambles.
But then you hear like that little crackle. What did she say? Do you remember what words she said? I couldn't. I was sobbing.
Houston?
Yeah, maybe.
Houston, come in.
Yeah. And yeah, they end up, Vanessa and Lydia end up surviving. And I loved that the book just ended there, because it kind of gave you as the reader, like, and now they live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and now the rest of the story happens, right? I'll listen to it again. It's free on Spotify, you guys. If you have a Spotify membership, you can listen to it for free. Because, God, it's probably a book I'll read over and over. Same with Stephen. Same with Song of Achilles. That's my next audiobook.
It's so good. It's so good.
Were there any other parts that you wanted to like specifically discuss?
Yeah. This would be a terrible job for someone with OCD.
Oh my God, I know.
I was just imagining, okay, for me, as somebody who struggles with that, I'm constantly like, oh, this thing I did, it's going to cause all these people to die. And it's like, I tied my shoe off, or, you know,
yeah,
or whatever, you know, and it's so insignificant. But imagine that you're working on something that like actually people could die, and it would just be so terrible for someone with OCD.
I like that's what you want this to be.
Also, there's the quote about how these three men were on the space shuttle, but every woman in America was.
Oh my God, yes. I was talking about that with someone. That was an incredible thing to say. And that was Lydia's point, right? Mm-hmm. That was Lydia saying like, well, I don't know if it was Lydia, but it was kind of to Lydia's point.
Yeah.
It's not just, they were talking about Sally Ride.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying like the first woman in space, but it's not just her. It's every single woman in America is on that shuttle. And if something goes wrong, it's not just on her. It's on all women.
Yeah.
They will say that we can't do this.
Yeah.
And like no greater truth has ever been said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who was it that who were able to save the day at the end were the two women.
Yeah.
Lydia and Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
And the men died.
Mm-hmm.
Which, let me tell you, I was heartbroken because I really wanted Griff to make it.
Yeah.
And he held on the longest. And then, like, Joan wasn't allowed to tell Vanessa that Griff died for a while. And, like, Vanessa knew there was something Joan wasn't telling her, but was like, if you're not telling me, it's probably.
Oh, my God.
So I'm just going to, go through it, and they'll tell me eventually. And I just can't imagine having like such a high stake situation happening. But at the end of the day, you're also communicating with the one person who can trust more than anything.
Yeah.
So that must have been like the slightest bit of comfort. But at the end of the day, you're also thinking like, she could die. She could burn up on reentry.
This would be so awful. Okay. Last thing I want to hear your thoughts about is on Barbara and Francis.
Oh, I mean, Barbara is a shit mom.
Yeah.
Like, blanket statement, horrible. However, it sounds like Barbara got pregnant very young.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Barbara did not want to be a mom. She did say like, oh, this is going to give me purpose. But a baby is not there to give you purpose, right? I really am in the camp of like, you should be prepared to be a parent. Like, you should want to be a parent. And, you know, I think Joan was a great mom. Joan, like, made sure Francis was emotionally taken care of, right? Barbara had a very selfish mentality when it came to Francis. She didn't see her as a child. She saw her as a burden.
Yeah.
And that is so sad for a child who is just this little girl just trying to live her life, and her mom's leaving her here and sending her to boarding school when she was not a child that should have been at boarding school. No. Like, Barbara's selfish interests of going off with this man to try and make sure her life was set and everything was so counter to what it means to be a mom, in my opinion. But I loved Joan and Francis's relationship. I love Vanessa's relationship with Francis, Joan as an entity, right? Mm-hmm. And Francis was really lucky to have someone in her life like Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joan reminds me of my sister, because my sister is like the best aunt in the entire world. I am not Barbara, let me tell you. But no. I think I'm a good mom. But I know my sister would be like Joan. Like, my sister loves my kids. She's the best aunt in the entire world. Like, my kids are obsessed with her. And she's always, it's not just like, oh, she's the fun aunt, you know, like, no, she like takes care of them. You know, Barbara can suck a dick.
Oh. Barbara didn't get a chance to find out who she was.
Exactly. And that's why I have the slightest bit of sympathy for Barbara. But at the end of the day, like, it's not Francis's fault. Mm-mm. And you are her mom. And again, I'm just going to say Francis was very lucky.
Quick fan cast.
Ooh.
So to end it out?
Yeah. Like,
you brought up, okay. I was like, oh, please no. You brought up Joe Alwyn and Travis Kelce. And I said, get Travis Kelce the hell away from Atmosphere.
Not as casting. Not casting.
Yeah, you said as Hank and Griff.
Okay, I was drunk. But I meant in terms of like who they play. Like, because Taylor Swift's gay, right? So remember, I'm coming from that way. So, you know what? Actually, I was actually really drunk. I don't remember what I was saying. I was on TikTok in a rabbit hole feeling sorry for myself.
I got a text that said Joe Alwyn equals Griff. Travis Kelce equals Hank. Or other way around. And I said, neither.
Okay, I can see what happened there. Hold on. I can see what happened there. What I was saying, no, okay, you got it wrong. My text says Joe Alwyn is Rex North.
Oh,
Travis Kelce is Harry Cameron.
Oh.
Those are Taylor Swift's beards, and they're also like her best friends. Like, Rex North was very we're in Seven Husbands of Evelyn.
Okay. I was on a different.
Rex North was very contractual with Evelyn, which is like Joe Alwyn. They were like 6 years. Okay, and we want to go off and do our own thing. Travis Kelce is like bestie material.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. I will vibe with you there.
Okay. So I wasn't actually that drunk, guys. I knew what I was saying.
I was like, I do not want Travis Kelce in Atmosphere.
No. Okay, fan cast though. Joe Alwyn would be a good Griff. So, and Paul Mescal can play Hank because they're boyfriends. You're hilarious. Joe Alwyn's a good actor.
I just don't feel him. Feel him.
I have a really hard time with male actors, so I don't know who to put in these roles.
Well, I have seen people. Okay, who's that guy in Stranger Things?
The Zionist?
Who?
The Zionist?
No, not the kid. The older guy. Not old, but like
Hank?
For Griff, they like casting him as Griff, the guy that likes Robin.
Oh yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. He plays the Russian guy in Marvel.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of see that.
Florence Pugh as Vanessa.
No.
Short hair. Florence Pugh.
No. No.
Okay, what about Victoria Pedretti?
No, Florence Pugh is Barbara. Yeah.
See, I really can see in my head Vanessa, Florence Pugh. Okay, but what about Victoria Pedretti as one of the girls? She's from.
Who is that?
She's from Coyote Ugly. She plays a lesbian in a lot of things.
I don't know who she is. But okay.
Oh, she's the girl in You. She's the girl in You. Love.
I don't know.
Oh, she'd be a good one.
I have no idea who that is. Okay, you're gonna hate this, and I also kind of hate it. But okay, Timothy Chalamet is Griff, but
no.
But then this whole thing would turn into the Timmy Show, which we don't want. I don't want that.
No, Timothy Chalamet. I think about these male astronauts as like big buff guys, like strong pilot military guys.
Okay.
Right?
Rob, who's the vampire?
I don't know, but
Jacob
Elordi as like Antonio or like as one of the astronauts.
I feel like Antonio has to be old.
Older, yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
But as one of the astronauts, maybe, yeah. Who's
gonna have to make another Zoom.
Okay, you guys, we'll post our fan cast and you guys can rip it apart. Okay?
Yeah, please, because we're obviously not good at this. I'm just gonna go on TikTok and find the ones I like the most.
We love you guys. Thanks for joining us back here, and we're excited to start season 3. Although we don't know how often these will come, they will be coming.
They're just gonna come. They're gonna come with Gentleman Jack. We gotta do the Sally Ride documentary. We have to read Song of Achilles, even though it's gay, not lesbian. It's basically lesbian. Okay, yes, we love you guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us.